Welcome to the Daisy Blue Fashion Variety Show. I am Nancy Blizzard, your host, and my guest today is Sherry Rivard from Sherry's Angels. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'd
You're
love to hear
welcome.
how you got started.
Actually, my mother taught me how to sew, so I learned the old-fashioned way. I learned to hand sew at first, and then she taught me on the sewing machine, and basically just learned the basics from mom and grandma.
Oh.
So, because my mom she used to make her own clothes when she was going to school. When I was growing up, of course, she threw that onto me and said, you need to learn how to sew, and if anything, for your family or whatever. And but now I'm kind of taking it to another level and trying out some designing. You never forget what was running through your mind when you were a kid.
Right.
And what
Yes.
kept you busy and what kept you thinking, and stuff. And art and drawing wings and creativity was always there for me.
Do the wings mean something to you?
The meaning behind them is mainly a fascination of wings and the shape of wings and what they create in a person's mind. I mean, you can't think of wings without it making you smile. You can't think of wings without thinking of something nice or something good. So it's just a very positive thing. I think wings bring a lot of positive behavior, and I really like that. I like to go online sometimes and kind of study the wing and the movement and the bones and the bone structure and all of that so that I can get a proper shape. My daughter Amanda decided she wanted to get into fashion and modeling and acting, so she went to school to train to be a model, and then later on I ended up helping her as her manager. That's kind of how I got into the industry in the beginning as a model manager for my daughter. I've been in the fashion industry with my daughter for 8 years, but I wasn't really front and center. I was behind the scenes, and so this is a lot different. It takes a lot of courage sometimes, courage in knowing that what I'm putting out there is working and is okay and is worth putting out on the runway. It just takes some confidence building, that's for sure.
Do you draw or sketch, or how do you create the wings?
Sometimes I will draw out a pair of wings that I've been thinking about in my head, and then I'll produce them from there. But for the most part, as far as the wings are concerned, I don't do a lot of drawing anymore. I just bring it basically from my head to my hands, and I form the wire in the shape that I'm looking for, and then I just go from there. I envision it in my brain, but until I get it all together, I really don't know how it's actually going to look. And I try not to use too much wire. That's kind of the trick to that, in the fabric. I started out building them, and I noticed when I used too much wire, if I framed the whole entire wing, they didn't move as well. They were more stiff. So I started eliminating wire as I went and seeing how much I could get away with less wire. And it's working really well. I like it a lot.
It's always going to be a process, right?
Yep, it's a learning process as well for me. I mean, I'm learning as I'm going and as I'm building the wings. And, sometimes I've taken a pair of wings and I had an idea and I thought it was great, and I'd put it all together and I didn't like it. And so I'd rip them all apart and start over. It could be 3 days lost, but it's still, in the end, I still end up what I'm going for. It just takes a little time sometimes. I get fabrics and stuff everywhere I go, and I look everywhere for it. I've used tulle, just to make something fun and fluffy, which works really good for weddings. So, if anybody wants to have a wedding with wings instead of a veil, I think it's a really, really wonderful idea, and they should hit me up for that. I work with a lot of feathers, different types of feathers, and different types of materials. I work with lace. I've got wings that are, you'll see them today. But I've got some that are actually, the whole wing is made out of lace and a little bit of feather, and then I can just make wings out of nothing but lace. Ideas run through my mind constantly, 24/7, on what's next, on what I can make out of what material or what colors, because I've been doing a huge variety of different colors, which you wouldn't think, why would you do that? But there's parrots, there's doves, there's bluebirds, so you can make wings in a variety of colors too.
How do your models feel when they put them on?
In the beginning, I think that there is a big fascination, and they're really excited, and they're like, "Oh, I really want to wear a pair of wings like what you have," and then when I put them in a show, they realize it's not. It's glamorous and it's fun, but it's not as easy as it looks, because they're easy to wear, but they're not easy to get around in a show or a photo shoot or whatever. So they have to learn how to wear them. They have to learn how to move around in them. So it takes a little bit of a process of the models to learn, and then they get used to it, and then they're all good. It's not the same as just putting on a nice dress and walking the runway. It is completely different, and you got to move differently and act differently. With my models, I don't necessarily have them walking down the runway like a stiff mannequin, which a lot of them like that. But my models are wearing wings, so I want them to enjoy them, and I want them to show that they're enjoying them. And they're fun to show off. So you got to move, and you got to smile, and flirt with them.
Well, this would be a great time to invite your models up and take a look at some of these wings we've been talking about.
This is Luba. She's wearing a pair of wings that I fashioned for a themed fashion show. It was themed for sirens, for mermaids. And so these are a pair of mermaid wings, or if you want to maybe call them fins, more like a fin.
Oh, I like that. That's like a sequin.
And those were done with sequined fabric, yes. Sometimes when I'm doing a fashion show, there will be a theme to the fashion show. So the wings that I make will just have everything to do with the theme. Scarlett's wearing a pair of my white feather wings, and they're kind of in a halfway fold, and it seems to be kind of a popular design. With this pair, it's basically it's fabric underneath with a wire frame, and then the feathers.
Now, when you use fabric, does that kind of make it a little more easier to bend and easier to work with?
It actually makes the wings move a little bit more naturally. If other designs are made out of say cardboard, and they don't really move with a natural flow of a wing. So when I do it with the fabric, then they have more movement when they're walking on the runway. Oh, this is Jordan.
Oh, those are beautiful. That is really pretty.
These wings I kind of fashioned after parrot colors. And I made them jointed, so as you can see when she pulls them up, they have joints. So they kind of move more like a natural wing.
Wow.
And she can fold them in front of her, or she can pose with them So they're very movable and bendable. This is Amelia.
Very pretty.
This was another experimental pair on mixing colors to see how it would look, and it's going pretty good. I like them a lot.
I do.
And these are just the typical, fabric and feathers and wire as well. And she can move them around just about any way she wants to. It's Luba again. Now she's wearing a pair of the wings that I made out of tulle and flowers.
Oh my goodness, I love
And this is
that.
just a really nice accessory with dresses. Now these are a classic, very classic pair of folded wings. Now we have Scarlet again. These are my Phoenix inspired wings. I just wanted to make a pair of wings that were inspired by the Phoenix.
By the Phoenix?
The bird, yeah.
Oh, the Phoenix bird, I'm
Right.
sorry. Oh, it's so pretty. I love that color. That's a gorgeous color.
I've been learning how to make some that are more incorporated with the dress, and something they can wear all night long. And these actually attach to her arms, so she doesn't have to hold them or anything like that. She just moves, and there they go.
What's your vision in 3 to 5 years?
In 3 to 5 years, I'd really like to see more people buying them and renting them and utilizing them, like for parties and for weddings and for photo shoots and maybe even theater. I'd like to introduce them to theater. I think that would be a lot of fun. I thought it would have an end. I thought, what am I going to do once I create a couple pair of wings? And I've realized that it's been never ending. I mean, I'll create 3 or 4 pairs of wings for a certain show or a photo shoot, and then my mind just goes crazy, and I just keep coming up with more ideas, and then I'm back home creating again. The creative process in my brain never stops. I'm always wanting to create. I love creating, even on Halloween, and making my own props. I prefer to sit down in my garage and just create something on my own. And so I've always gone over the top when it comes to creating.